Good evening. This is CTV News for July 29th. I'm Melissa Wright.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Well, former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Steele and the Reverend Al Sharpton hold a joint press conference in Baltimore today. The event comes in the wake of the president's Twitter attacks on Elijah Cummings and Trump's description of Baltimore as a rat and rodent-infested mess. Sharpton and Steele came together to address Trump's messaging. Cummings has been a sharp critic of the president's immigration policies. Earlier today, Trump tweeted that the Reverend Sharpton was a con man who hates whites and cops. Here's some of what Michael Steele had to say.
The first message I have is to the President of the United States. Mr. President, your reprehensible comments are like water off a duck's back when it comes to this community. It just washes over them. It doesn't stick to them. It does not stain them. So my ask to you, sir, is to join me, to join Jimmy Kemp, to join others in this community here, in this space, on this ground. Let's walk this community, sir. Let's talk to these folks face to face, and you'll begin to realize and appreciate the hard work and the commitment that they have made.
Meantime, Governor Larry Hogan again responds to the president's tweet about Baltimore during an interview on WBAL's C4 show. This morning, Hogan called his comments, quote, outrageous and inappropriate. Comptroller Peter Franchot.
I mean, people are just completely fed up with this kind of nonsense. And why are we not focused on solving the problems and getting to work instead of who's tweeting what and who's calling who what kind of names? I mean, it's just absurd. I mean, quite frankly, what is the president doing? What is the Congress doing? We're arguing and tweeting back and forth, but why aren't we focused on some of these problems?
Comptroller Peter Franchot was also on the C4 show this morning and linked the president to a, quote, drunken Archie Buncher.
Meantime, Hamil Harris was at that Baltimore press conference featuring Michael Steele and Al Sharpton, and he's joining us now with his analysis of what happened. Why do you think the two of them held this press conference?
Well, first of all, this was just not a press conference. This was a pre-planned event where you had Republicans and Democrats coming together to have this master plan for Baltimore and housing. I knew about it 2 weeks ago, and you actually had the son of Jack Kemp, the former HUD secretary, ran for Congress. So this was already planned. What's amazing to me is how Donald Trump, before this meeting, could launch this attack about Baltimore housing. It's like all politics is local. So they were already planning to be there. I asked the question, if this is about housing, then where's the Housing and Urban Development Secretary, Ben Carson? And they said his people were actually there. So on the surface, it's like, okay, race, back and forth. But what's really going on, when you have Bank of America there too, this is about a major plan or rollout about the future of Baltimore that was supposed to be bipartisan. And remember, before this point, you had Donald Trump and the Congressman Cummings had this love fest. Remember when we were started? John Hopkins had this big prescription drug plan, and Cummings told me, I think I can work with the president. So all of a sudden, I guess all love is off now, but it's a lot going on in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. So what were some of the things that were discussed at
At the actual meeting, I think a lot of the ministers, like Reverend Harold Carter, who's the minister who did Freddie Gray's funeral, they wanted to know specifics about, okay, Baltimore's has blocks and blocks of boarding-up housing, which include Varmint and everything else. What is the plan? There has to be a federal plan to give up money. So they actually do need the president and HUD to give up money to do this. This is not a local issue. This is a federal issue. So they talked about that. It's a lot of talking, and I think I asked Reverend Sharpton as he left, well, what's the bottom line? Well, it could work, but we need to have more meetings. So at the same time, nationally, where there's insults back and forth, there's actually a real situation going on where the future of Baltimore and infrastructure is at stake.
What does this all say about the leader of the free world?
Well, again, he knows how to command the attention of the day. And I really think that in his own weird way, he wants to control the discussion. But he hurts people when you start talking about people live and up there. But then what was interesting, Kemp, again, the son of former presidential wannabe Jack Kim said, but maybe he's blowing things up, using disruption for the good. So actually, and Michael Steele did not really condemn Trump. He did say he was reprehensible. He said, Mr. President, come to Baltimore and walk the streets with me so we can come up with a plan. So I would not be surprised if you see Donald Trump in this peace fest with Elijah Cummings. That would be another made-for-TV moment.
Oh, that certainly would be. All right, then. And any other questions that you have?
And so the final conclusion, the president...
There was no conclusion.
No agenda.
They agreed to meet again. They had this agenda. And the press came in. I just think it's interesting. And remember, Elwood Sawyer, who told me he was with the president a week ago. And it's interesting how Maryland has the inside track with President Trump. Harry Jackson, the minister from Beltsville, was in the White House, picture the photo out with President Trump. So the local ministers in this state are some of the president's closest allies in terms of politics. So we'll see.
We'll see.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, TSA agents at BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport confiscated a missile launcher inside the checked luggage of a passenger. It happened this morning. Investigators tracked down the passenger, a Texas man who is active military and was returning home from Kuwait. He told authorities he wanted to keep it as a souvenir. Military weapons are not allowed in checked or carry-on baggage. The missile launcher was confiscated by the fire marshal. The man was allowed to catch his flight.
An 11th grader charged with first and second degree murder for allegedly killing his father appears in front of a judge this afternoon. This is the suspect, 17-year-old Barbara Coroma. District Judge Ada Clark Edwards ordered him to be held on a no bond status. The judge also ordered that he undergo a mental health evaluation. According to the police, the 17-year-old got into an argument with his father, then allegedly stabbed him inside a car at Allen Pond Park in Bowie. During the court proceedings, the suspect accused his late father of brainwashing him and his mother. State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy had this to say about the judge's order.
Just listen to the facts. We understand that this is a family situation. It's tough. But we also know that the judge determined, based on all that she heard, that a mental health evaluation would be appropriate in this matter, and we certainly supported that.
Coroma is a student at Bowie High School. A preliminary hearing is set for August 29th.